Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. In this video, we're going to cover a very short geography of India. So that means we're going to look at a couple of different regions, some rivers, some important cities, and places that are important in studying the history of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So let's begin. India is actually its own subcontinent. It has its own tectonic plate called the Indian plate. Around 55 million years ago, India was actually separate from the rest of the Eurasian plate, but at 55 million years ago, it collided with the Eurasian plate, and this collision, it pushed upwards the land in between the two plates and created the Himalayan mountains. Now, these are some of the highest mountains in the world, and this is what we're going to talk about next. The Himalayan mountains are divided into three main ranges. You have the Greater Himalayas, you have the Middle or the Lesser Himalayas, and then you have the Shivalik Hills. So the Himalayan mountains serve as a natural barrier between the Indian plains below in the south and the Tibetan plateau up here in the top. Today, Tibet is controlled by China, and it's a higher piece of land. That's why it's called a plateau. And over here, you have the plains of India. Over in the west as well, the mountains are known as the Hindu Kush Mountains. Now, these are over here. Now, these also serve as a barrier between India and the rest of uh, Central Asia, including Afghanistan. The Great Himalayas are the highest part of the Himalayan mountain range, and they include some of the highest mountains in the world, including Mount Everest, which is the highest mountain in the world. The Great Himalayas also include a place of Sikh pilgrimage called Hemkund Sahib. This is on the Indian side of the Himalayan mountains. Most of the mountains here are above 6,000 meters in height. As you move south from the Great Himalayas, the mountains gradually decrease in size. And in the middle of the Himalayas is the lower Himalayan range. The mountains here are between 3,700 to 4,500 meters. So as the glacier water flows down from the greater Himalayas, it carves out deep gorges in the lower Himalayas, and this is where most of the rivers flow from the Himalayan glaciers into the plains of India below south. Now, lastly, the last layer of the Himalayas is the Shivalik Hills. Now, these are the low hills that you would normally see when you're in Punjab or when you're in the plains of India. And these are very visible when we travel to Anandpur Sahib as well. Now, these are located between the Himalayas, as I mentioned, and the plains of the Indus and the Ganges River. Now, these mountains are also what we call subtropical rainforests. So they have forests that are often very thick and rivers flowing through them. And they have a large variety of wildlife as well. There's deers, there's bears, there's tigers, there's leopards, and there's langurs, many, many other animals as well. And you're going to see them pop up in the history that we're going to discuss of Guru Gobind Singh Ji as well. Now, this is a very biologically diverse part of the Himalayas. The part of the Himalayas that is relevant to our study of Guru Gobind Singh Ji is known as the Punjab Hills. Now, these hills make up the outermost edge of the Himalayan mountains, and they are the Shivalik Hills. Remember those low hills right at the edge of the Himalayas. This is where the Pahari Raja ruled. The Pahari Raja were Rajput Hindu hill kings that had several different independent kingdoms across these hills, which make up Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand today. Within these hills, there were several valleys. So, a valley is a low piece of land between two mountains or two hills, and in that language, they were known as dunes. So Anandapur Sahib is located in one of these valleys or dunes on the banks of the Satluj River, right about here. And you also have Paonta Sahib, which is located in another valley, another dune, on the banks of the Yamuna River, a bit further south. Today, that's in Himachal Pradesh. You also have some other cities, for example, Dehradun, which was founded by Baba Ram Rai, and we'll talk about who he is later on, which is further south, right off of this map over here. And within these hills over here, you have several different cities and important towns that were the capitals of those different hill kingdoms. You have Mandi and you have Revalsar, for example, which are both cities that were visited by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And all of these locations will be coming up in our study. The city of Anandapur Sahib, which was founded by Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, is located within one of the valleys in the Shivalik Hills. And specifically, it is located at the foot of the Naina Devi Hill. We'll talk about that later. It is also on the banks of the Satluj River, and there's a smaller stream that runs by the city of Anandpur Sahib, which is called Charanaganga. And all of this will come up within our history. Now we're going to discuss some important rivers of India and those that are associated with the history of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So we have, first of all, the Indus River, then you have the rivers of Punjab and the Satluj, which is the southernmost of the Punjab rivers. Then you have the Ganga River or the Ganges, which runs all the way till Bangladesh over here. And then you have the Yamuna River that runs parallel to the Ganges. And then lastly, you have the Godavari River, which is in the southern region, the Deccan of India. And this is where Hajur Sahib is located. And we'll discuss that at the very end. The Indus River is one of the most important rivers in India, if not the most important. The reason is because the name India itself comes from the Indus River, the land of the Indus River. The Indus River flows all the way from the Himalayan mountains through the plains of Punjab, through this place called Sindh, which is in southern Pakistan today, and into the Arabian Sea. Much of the water of the Indus River is drained out in a basin known as the Indus River Basin. Now there's 5 other rivers that are all tributaries of the Indus River. And these are the 5 rivers of Punjab. So this means that all of these rivers, the 5 rivers of Punjab, they flow into the Indus River. Now these 5 rivers are, firstly, the southernmost river of Punjab is Satluj, then you have Beas, then you have Uravi, then you have Chenab, and Jhelum. The rivers of Punjab have acted as natural boundaries, creating distinct linguistic and cultural areas. For example, the land between the Beas and the Satluj rivers is known as the Jalandhar Doab or Doaba, meaning the land between 2 rivers. The land north of the Beas River in the heart of Punjab is known as Majha. Lahore has long served as the capital of Punjab under different empires. Under the Mughal Empire, Lahore was the capital of the province that made up most of the Punjab, which was known as the Lahore Suba. It is located by the Ravi River. The land south of the Satluj River is generally known as Malwa or Malwa Desh or Jungle Desh. This includes the cities of Sri Muktsar Sahib and Sabo Ki Talwandi. And to the east of Malwa is a region known as Pawad. This includes the region of Anandpur Sahib as well at its very boundary. Malwa was generally a very dry and inhospitable region, and sometimes there was a very strong scarcity of water in this region as well. It was hard to come across, and this is going to be very important in different battles, all the way going back to the time of Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, going all the way to the battles fought by Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and later on during the invasions of Ahmed Shah Abdali as well. Malwa was a region that was hard to keep under control because of the lack of water. It was hard to bring armies into this region as well. So those 2 regions that are south of the Satluj is where some very important history of Guru Gobind Singh Ji took place. There were several battles that happened here, and we'll talk about those later. So Malwa, as we mentioned, it used to be this semi-arid, almost very close to a desert. So there were these big kind of sand dunes. In Punjabi, they're called tibbe. And even in old literature, Malwa is commonly referred to as jungle desh, meaning almost like wilderness, because of the landscape with almost barren type of landscape that was in Malwa at that time. Now, to the east of Malwa is a place known as Pawad. All right, so this is the furthermost region of Punjab, the easternmost region of Punjab, and this is where Anandpur Sahib is located. And another thing to mention is there's difference in Punjabi or in dialect or the pronunciation of certain words. For example, the saying Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh is commonly said to have originated from the Puadhi dialect of Punjabi as well. That is the opinion of some historians as well. So that is just an interesting side note. So the other two major rivers we're going to discuss now are the Ganges, sometimes known as the Ganga River, and the Yamuna, also known as the Jamuna. So these are two rivers that flow almost parallel to each other towards the east. So eventually they converge. So the Yamuna meets the Ganga or the Ganges at a place called Prayag, where they become one into the Ganges River, and ultimately it flows out into a place called Bangladesh today, often called Bengal in old times as well. So this is also where Paonta Sahib is located, all the way up in the hills, the Shivalik Hills. Paonta Sahib is located on the banks of the Yamuna River. You have cities like Delhi, they're also located on this river. You have the Hindu holy city of Haridwar. And if you go south from Delhi, around right about here, you have Agra as well, which is a major city of the Mughals. There's a lot of important history that happened in Agra as well that's associated with the Mughals, and we can talk about that in the future. Uh, Prayag is an important place visited by Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, and Patna Sahib is also on the Ganges River, and this is the Prakash Sthan of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj, and we will discuss that history coming up. So this is just a quick snapshot of what Paonta Sahib looks like today. This is kind of like a particularly rainy day, maybe during the monsoon season. You could see some dark clouds in the sky, and right behind Gurudwara Sri Paonta Sahib, located on the banks of the Jamuna River, right over here, you can see the hills of the Shivalik range right in the background. And this area obviously looks very different to what it would have looked like during the time of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj. As you can see, it's become very industrialized. You have electricity towers, there's lots of development, water tanks, and so on, right? And there's big sarama for Sangha to stay in at the Gurdwara. So there would have been a lot of more natural landscape, a little bit less developed during the time that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj stayed at this place and founded this city. But you can definitely see the greenery, which would have been seen here and in places like Anandpur Sahib as well, and lots of different wildlife, as we discussed before. So we're also going to mention just very briefly another region that Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj passed through, and this is Rajasthan. So Rajasthan is where one of the largest desert of India is located. This is the Thar Desert. And in this region, there were several Rajput kings that ruled in different smaller kingdoms. And the major cities that you kind of need to remember for this region are Jaipur, Ajmer, and Amber. So there's also some other cities too. There's some very historic forts you can see. You can even visit today. A lot of them survived even today. A lot of history in Rajasthan associated with the Rajput kings. The last region we're going to discuss in this video is a region known as the Deccan. In Punjabi, it's also called the Dakhan. So in Punjabi, Dakhan means south. Deccan is simply just an English way of saying that. So this is located in South India, as you can see right over here. And there's a very important river in Sikh history called the Godavari River. It flows right about here. And Hajur Sahib is located on the river right about where the pointer is over here. And so Sri Hajur Sahib Nanded, Takht Sri Abchal Nagar Hajur Sahib Nanded is located on the Godavari River in the south of India. Today it's located in the Indian state of Maharashtra. And we will discuss all of the history associated with Sri Hajur Sahib at the very end of our year.